unimpressive. Most unimpressive. That seems to be the reaction from a lot of people regarding Disney's Star Wars Galactic Starcruiser
that
hotel.
Are expensive. Most expensive is the biggest complaint.
So now we're starting to get a better picture, obviously, of what you get for $6,000, as there have been leaked videos. We talked about that in a previous video. We've got YouTubers and Twitter users asking Disney for clarification of what they're going to get for their $6,000, and they're kind of getting the runaround. And there's actually a lot of chatter from people who normally would be diehard Disney supporters and Disney Star Wars supporters, basically saying, yeah, this is not worth $6,000. And it's going to be really interesting to see how Disney spins this. And will the media who are currently experiencing this hotel, are they going to be honest come Friday or not?
Yeah, that's a good question. And I think your best bet is to wait until people are going that are not the ones that were given trips. And that, or some people that you trust, because a couple of the bloggers I think that do Disney stuff actually are more objective.
Yeah.
But as I've mentioned before, here's the thing with Disney media, which we've told you again and again. When you go to these events, you are given specific talking points. You're all out. You see everybody putting the same pictures up. There's a reason we have told you this. You have to also remember a lot of the blogs and things like that are run by travel agencies or sponsored by travel agencies who want to sell trips. So even if the person there thinks it's a shit show, they're not going to say that, because the person that there's paying them, your salary, they're boosting their blog, need to sell trips. So you're best to wait until you find some people who you think are going to be objective and fair, or that you think aren't going to be like just up Disney's ass because they got a free trip.
Yeah, I would trust somebody who actually paid out of pocket for it. You're going to be hard pressed to find a lot of people that are going to pay out of pocket.
Well, then they're out something. People got to go for free. It didn't cost them anything.
Right.
They're not going to, to them, it's like, oh, I got this free trip, and it might seem all razzle dazzle, or somebody who had to pay for it might be a little more objective. And it might come out that everybody says it's fantastic. That's not what we're hearing.
No.
But it might come out that people that you trust think it's great. So wait for that until you plunk down $4,800 to $6,000 entry level.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that too. The upcharges. Of course we have upcharges. So before we get into it any further, please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants, guys. Over 258,000 subs. Thank you so much for the support. We do talk about Disney. Talking about Star Wars. We've worked in and around the Disney company for a long time. In fact, we spent 3 years being full-time, I guess you could say Disney influencers, Disney ambassadors. So we know the drill. We know how these things work. And look, I mean, this is definitely, given everything that's going on in the world right now, this is definitely a first world problem. Like this Starcruiser has literally become Canto Bite.
Yeah.
Because we've got all kinds of drama going on in the world, but all these rich people are going to focus on their overpriced Star Wars adventure. They should add slot machines.
It should be called Came to Bite you in the ass.
Bite you in the wallet. Okay.
There you go. Well, a lot of people keep their wallet in the back of their pants, so, Okay, so anyway, so they just released another video last night. Probably because, hey, shit, everybody's leaking stuff, or there's been things that have come out.
Yeah.
We want to control the narrative. We want to control the views of the Starcruiser Hotel from our point of view and what we want you to see. They did this with 3 of their Imagineer people. It was like Scott Trowbridge and 2 other people.
Yeah.
I guess this guy here is the creative director, and she is like the director of immersion or something.
Director of immersion?
Yes.
That's a job. That's a real job title?
Apparently.
Okay.
I forget exactly, but it's something about immersion. And most of the video, frankly, is them sitting around talking to each other about when we developed Galaxy's Edge and how we knew this was coming. And, basically, it's a lot of love and a lot of passion, and we did a good job, and yay, we're so great. Pat each other on the back. Did we mention it's great and we love it, and don't make fun of us because we put a lot of work into it.
Yeah, that seems to be the defense now. Like, anytime consumers criticize a product, it's like, lots of people worked hard on this. You're not allowed to say anything.
Yeah, basically.
Like, you're the Walt Disney Company. You're like the biggest studio on the planet.
You'd think they'd want the feedback to improve it, but no, they don't.
They used to. They used to want feedback, and yeah.
Now that people have better access to give feedback with the internet, they don't want to hear it.
Stop the feedback.
So, in among this video, which we're going to go out to in a minute to look at the comments. I'm not going to play the video, obviously. Well, we got a picture of a girl in the bed. People are like, how big is the bed? Well, here's the little girl. And there she is in the bed. And I'm like, well, if she's this height, she's past this part.
She's like,
so I'm assuming it'll go into here. But I'm thinking if you're a real tall person, you probably aren't going to be, I mean, contrary to what the D23 magazine article said, that a Gungan or a Jawa could fit, but they don't want Jawas because they're riffraff.
They're furry. I mentioned they're furry.
So we'll go to the video in a minute. But they had the screens, and they did mention that all the screens in the ship are synced. So when they're in one area of space, all the windows reflect that, which is like a no-brainer. There's a battle, y'all see it.
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of, duh, that they would do that. And it's actually relatively easy to do it. I mean, it's cool because
it's cool.
You know, it does help. I mean, it would be weird if you were like, hey, look, look out this window, there's Hoth. Look out this window, there's Tatooine.
I mean, I'm not going to lie. I mean, they said that you're going to Bespin for part of it. I mean, I'd shit a brick for that. I'm not going to pay $6,000. I mean, unless I shit gold bricks, and then I could. But, it's like, if I could see, the Millennium Falcon fly by the window with the actual Star Wars crew, I would probably be very, very excited.
Well, this kid's not shitting bricks, she's shitting rocks.
Well, here is that garden area that we were talking about in the D23 article. And there's the skylights.
Florida.
It's Florida.
It's space Florida. It's extra magical.
I'm betting these rocks, apparently, you can probably use the Force. They probably move or jiggle, right?
Jiggle rocks.
So that you feel like, oh, I did it.
Hey, kids, let's go play with the jiggle rocks in Florida.
It's kind of reminds me of the cues, like when you go on like the Seven Dwarfs Mine Train and they have like the little gemstone things you can put, the games you can play.
Yeah, okay, that's my thing. But like, again, I have not been on it, but all of the video I've seen, including Disney's official videos, this looks to me like an interactive queue. Mm-hmm. Like you're paying $6,000 to go through an interactive queue. It's all the tricks that they use in the queue. I mean, I'm looking at the video game part of it, and it looks like the test track.
Even the one chick referred to it as the video game.
The video game.
She referred to the thing about video game. Okay, so they have lightsaber training, and this is actually something they were supposed to do something like this in Galaxy's Edge.
Yes.
Not with the lightsabers per se, but they were supposed to have like the laser beams be able to shoot, and they were going to have actors with the lightsabers that were going to like deflect the beams and that kind of stuff. And it was supposed to be, open to everyone, so behind a paywall. And here they have it. This is where you have to assume the position, grab it, and then it was your back, like arch your back towards the floor.
Assume the position, grab it, and arch your back.
Yeah, something like that.
You're all getting a physical today.
So that's lightsaber training.
Disney is probing your wallet.
Yeah. Then here's Rey, and of course we all know Kylo Ren's going to show up, and so is the First Order, and Rey has to fight them off, and there's going to be some big battle sequence, whatever. According to the person who I know who had the plans, and we talked about this for a while now, there's like a chandelier involved that looks like it's going to fall, and then Kylo Ren uses she uses the Force to deflect it or something. Sounds very Phantom of the Opera to me, but
maybe there's a musical number. Well, there is in the lounge, but I'm like, maybe they could turn it into a musical, interactive dinner. The whole thing is like interactive dinner theater. Music by Lin-Manuel Miranda, because he's doing everything for Disney now.
And John Williams, they work together.
John Williams. Yeah.
Okay, so then there's this guy who I'm assuming this is that Lieutenant Harmon Croy guy that they were mentioning in the story. That awful D23 story. If you have not heard the awful D23 story, we have a video on it where we read the backstory of the ship, and it's
we don't
really written like a infomercial
/ Wattpad fanfic. We don't show the pages because we would not be surprised if Disney would try to copyright strike us for showing the pages of the D23 magazine. That being said,
I'm a better writer than that, guys. Give me credit.
So that being said, we want to clear up. People thought that we took the video down.
Oh yes, I want to clear up because people keep asking. People was like, we had put up the leaked video of the room, which I'm going to point out again is itty bitty. Yeah, and that's one of the rooms.
The lounge.
Well, the lounge. And the bed and the room. The room, which is supposed to fit like 4 people. Could you imagine walking around there with 4 people? And then we did a picture of Gaia singing, a video of Gaia singing in the I guess that was the main restaurant area, which looks really not good.
Strip club.
It doesn't, it's not great. Anyway.
It's not great.
We had put those up. And we took them down. People were like, oh, Disney copyright struck you and all. No, they didn't. They didn't even ask us to take it down. The reason I took it down was because the person who, I guess the place that posted it, which was Click Orlando, apparently, they posted it accidentally. I'm putting it in quotes.
Oh, I'm sure they did, as they hid the GoPro behind the light.
It was, I mean, I don't know what they expected to happen. I'm sure Disney called them and raised shit. So they took it down, and then I guess they reached out to like a place like Blog Mickey, which is where I saw it, and asked them to take it down. I totally have the copies of it. I just don't have it up because, if they're asking to take it down, I'm going to respect that as a fellow blogger myself. I assumed if Click Orlando put it up, it would have been allowed. I mean, I think most people assumed that would have been okay because, why would they post them when they weren't supposed to?
Yeah.
But I took it down also because Blog Mickey did, and I didn't want to get Blog Mickey or Click Orlando in any more trouble than they might already be in.
They stole fizzy lifting drinks.
Right, exactly. So that's why I took it down. Nobody told me to. People still have it up in places, I believe.
Yeah.
But I took it down because the people that did the video, was asked of their place to take it down. So I just wanted to respect that too, as a courtesy. Okay.
Yep.
So that's why I did it. So if Disney's like, all pissed at me, it's like, well, one, I would have assumed it was on Click Orlando that it would have been cleared. I wouldn't have posted it if I didn't think so. And two, Disney, I took it down. I wouldn't have leaked it, but that's just me. But no, we don't get special access anymore. Okay, here we go. Keep going on here. Here's the data pad, but they schedule you into oblivion.
With a lot of, I mean, honestly, all the activities feel like kids' party activities.
Well, you've been on the cruise ships, and it feels very much like, well, even the cruise ship, they give more freedom than this.
Oh, cruise ship, you can come. Yeah, they have events going on all the time, but they've got a freaking movie theater, and they've got
dance clubs, bars.
Yeah, they've got nightclubs, they've got arcades, they've got big restaurants. I mean, that's why I'm like, when I saw the lounge with Gaia, I'm like, that is rinky-dink. That would be like one of the D-list lounges on one of their cruise ships.
Yeah, I didn't think it was that impressive either, given what I've seen. And people brought up in points in other blogs, too, like some of the other cruise ships have these elaborate setups where they do projection shows and all this other kind of stuff. And they said with Gaia, they could have done all kinds of amazing things. And that's what you get. She's literally walking around, standing up on a stage and singing. Like, they could have had animatronics in there, like you said. They could have had projection things, like make her look like she's doing this amazing thing or this galactic thing behind her. There's all kinds of things they could have done. And it just looks very budget cut, even compared to basic other cruise ships.
Yeah, so what's interesting about this, and again, talking about the budget before we get into it any further, I was surprised, and I said multiple times, I was surprised they even went ahead with this, given the pandemic and cutting back, and it was a good opportunity to act stuff. But Disney's also looking at this like, oh, suckers are going to line up and pay $4,000 to $6,000.
We don't have to even advertise it. It says Star Wars.
Yeah, but I have to wonder if the original plans, because this was the premium Star Wars experience, and we know that they trimmed a lot of stuff off of Galaxy's Edge.
Yeah, and I know they trimmed a lot of stuff off of this too.
Yeah, so I think it, to be fair, Imagineering probably planned this to be out of this world, no pun intended, like this amazing immersive experience, animatronics and droids and bigger, better, whatever, and this is basically what was left after the pandemic and after Chapek came in and cut stuff.
Yeah, because people are talking like you get Chewbacca, Rey, and Kylo Ren, and that's it. You'd think you'd be getting all kinds of characters, and you do, and the fact that there's actors playing these new characters. So, but it's their
nobody
characters.
Cares about.
Yeah, no one knows. Same with Galaxy's Edge. We kept saying before it opened, you're putting it on a planet no one cares about. You need to make it something people relate to. I get you're trying to say you can live your own Star Wars story, but you're just trying to make sure you own everything, and it's all interconnected in what you want it to be. And the problem is, it's not going to resonate with people because they don't know Batu. They don't know the Halcyon. And it doesn't matter how much backpedaling you try to do, retconning you try to do, most people aren't going to read the comics. Most people aren't going to read the books. Most people don't give a shit. They just know what's on screen, especially classic Star Wars, because the new movies just, you know how that went. Yeah,
well, that's the thing. Star Wars, I mean, they think of it as their science fiction brand, but it's worthless without the characters that people love.
Mm-hmm. And they don't have enough characters that people care about. They have lots of characters, but not characters, if you know what I mean. So, yeah, here's some more reviews of it. Now, I was talking to one friend today, and this is something I wondered about, too. Like, when you see the rooms and stuff, they have a lot of these white walls and orange walls. They look kind of cheap. And we were talking about it today, you know who you are, and about the fact we were wondering whether it was a case of they were doing these panels cheap because they want to be able to change it out. Because let's face it, if it has a set story, a set show, and everything else, it's a one and done for most people. The only way you're going to get people to come back is if you give them something new. So are you going to change it out to make it like a different time period, Mandalorian or something else? The other thing is it easy to change out? Because people are going to trash this thing in like 3 months.
Oh, yeah, it's weird because you'd think for a premium experience that you would attract premium clientele. And actually what happens is you attract entitled clientele. And a lot of times, even, at the regular hotels, you go to the more expensive hotels and the deluxes, and there's a lot more damage because a lot of times it's just like Karens letting their kids go around, kick stuff.
Oh, they do. And they just sit there, oh, Timmy, stop, if they even say anything.
And they're on their phone drinking their mimosa or whatever.
And then they have the temporaries where they have that one guy spit on a cast member for pity's sakes because he thought he was above them. So, I mean, being expensive doesn't automatically equal class. So they have like this, and oh look, there's a ship coming on, and it's obviously a screen. And then they have different. I just took some stills. I think this is what Sabak here.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm gonna go to the video and we're gonna look at some of the comments because the comments are fun. So yeah, it sounds like it'd be nice to see the footage in the actual Starcruiser.
Yeah.
I'm so excited for this. I paid $6,000 for the chance to spend 2 nights with cheap party clowns LARPing in Star Wars aliens surrounded by what looks like the clean, glossy interior of a Star Trek exploration vessel.
It looks like Star Trek. It looks more like Star Trek than Star Wars. It does. It's too clean. It looks like prequel era Star Wars, Talk
about the 6-year-olds. Gaia's thing seems like the biggest drop ball. They're having one girl sing dressed like a Twi'lek. They could have had a whole band for the movies rocking it out. Yeah, exactly.
We have Sunny Eclipse. Sunny Eclipse in the freaking
restaurant.
Tomorrowland is more what I would expect from this.
Well, a little bit.
No. But what I'm saying is, like, you could have
better than Sunny Eclipse.
You could have gotten the Max Rebo band in there or something as animatronics and background. I mean, look, people wouldn't touch them because they were behind the singer. But how impressive would that be to have the Max Rebo band or another band that were animatronic aliens?
And to be fair, who knows? Maybe it's going to turn out there is something like that. We won't know yet. We won't know until the embargo is up. Anyway, people could get a ride instead, something everyone could experience. Instead, we get this Hotel in Space 2020 experiences that are very expensive with limited capacity, increasing prices. One would think that you want to add more rides to the park.
No, rides are expensive and they're expensive to maintain. That's what this whole thing is. Like Disney, the reason they're not building, they only build rides if they have to. The only reason Disney's doing anything now with new rides is because Universal is. If it wasn't for Universal, I guarantee you Disney would do the bare minimum to keep the rides they have open because there's no incentive to buy. How many years did we go without new rides at Disney? Mm-hmm. It was like, a decade almost?
Yeah, because because they're like, we don't have the money.
We don't have the money or we don't have the incentive. Like, they're going to come anyway, so why
bother?
Why drop millions of dollars on a new ride and then we have to maintain it constantly and hire people to run it and all that?
Well, the biggest complaint so far, the biggest ones I've seen has been the price, hands down.
Yeah.
And people on Twitter are like, oh, it's all these haters. No, most people are like, this is too expensive. If you cut the price, I'd consider. And just wait a few months. I'm sure there'll be deals and stuff like that happen because I can't think this is sustainable long term. That's the first one. The second one is it doesn't look very Star Wars-y, and the third one is it's Disney sequel trilogy between The Last Jedi and The Rise of Skywalker, which are like the two most divisive movies in the entire Star Wars pantheon, and that's where they set this.
Look, easy fix to save all of this: ditch the sequel era theming for the entire land, for Galaxy's Edge, for the hotel.
That's not going to be an easy fix.
Actually, the way it was designed, we talked about this before. I mean, it was supposed to be original trilogy, right? It was supposed to be. You can roll back to the original trilogy.
You could, but it's not going to just be like that.
No, it would be months of refurbishment. But either the original trilogy or take place during the Disney Plus shows, Mandalorian, Ahsoka, something like that.
Yeah, they didn't have to change Batu to put it within the Mandalorian. They can keep Batu as is and just do some things. And, that would be an easy change. But because people are like saying that. Why isn't it original trilogy? Why isn't it, people even ask for prequel. Why isn't it the Mandalorian? They said that would be a lot more exciting to people.
Yeah.
This guy, I'm sure we sure did a great job. We sure did. And that's exactly what the video's like. It just goes on and on. I think most of the comments, as you can see, are just like, looks amazing, can't afford it. Just put Luke in there. Lightsaber training hasn't changed despite the backlash, huh? It goes on and on, as you can see.
Yeah, I mean, look, are there some people who are complaining just because they personally cannot afford it? Yeah, and that's always the case. That's the case with any like, premium Disney experience. But the thing is that if you're going to charge that much money, and if it's worth it, that's one thing. Like staying at a deluxe resort or something, if it's actually worth it, but $6,000 for 2 days, that's like 3 gaming rigs. That's a huge ask.
$6,000 for 2 days will put you at a deluxe resort for how many?
For like a week or more. Because, I mean, usually we're talking, what, $500 to $700 a night, maybe $1,000 a night?
Yeah.
And I mean, it's a massive, massive ask for people, even people with money. Because we had people in the comments in the last video, they're like, you can go to Europe for a week and have a better vacation for that.
And they keep pushing this narrative on Twitter too. They're like, oh, it's because you're poor. It's like, no, a lot of people have money. They're just like, I'm not wasting my money on this shit.
Smart people who have money know when to spend their money and where to spend their money. And again, when you can go to like actual Europe for less money than they're asking for 2 days to play in their Star Trek hotel.
Well, it's interesting because, well, you're going to pull that one image up. We actually saw like WW Magic, they were talking on there, and the actual account said, I'm hearing interesting buzz coming out from the media who have been staying there. 6,000, no way. But who's going to dare say it and print it?
That's what we're saying. That's the thing. Because, again, if you're invited to these events and you say anything negative, even remotely negative, you're disinvited from future events.
Or you're at least questioned strongly, told to maybe you want to rethink writing that.
Again, this, I've got multiple examples. My own case, I got to go to Toy Story Land early, and we mentioned it before. And I gave it a pretty good review. I'm like, basically at this point, like Hollywood Studios needs all the help it can get.
Yeah, well, to me, you're like, it looks very carnival, but you didn't put that in the article.
I did put it in the article, but I remember calling you from Florida, and I'm like...
And after you got done saying how ridiculously hot you were.
Yeah, I'm like, it's hot. Well, yeah, because they let us in at like 1 or 2 o'clock in the afternoon in the summer in Florida, and it was, I almost passed out in the damn roller coaster. But, it's okay. It wasn't the best thing ever. It did look cheap. I mean, ish. The coaster's okay, but again, this is not... Toy Story Land was never going to be like, oh, this is our answer to Wizarding World. That was supposed to be Star Wars. But I did say, I said, hey, yeah, it's a nice addition. It's good for the kids, whatever. I had some questions.
It'll hold you over.
Yeah, I'll hold you over until Star Wars opens. But, I was like, how come the men's urinals are all child size? That's asking for trouble. And how come there's no shade? There's like no shade in this place. Not good in Florida. Other than that, I gave it like a B or a B plus. I think I even said it was like a B or a B plus. And I got questioned. Why weren't you more positive?
Right.
Because I was fucking hot.
Then they turned around and added more shade like a month later. Somebody else on the board had said that their friend had gone, and they said it didn't feel like a Star Wars experience. It felt like a generic space hotel. Shocker.
That's what it looks like.
They said the actors are good, but it's characters that no one has seen before, again, so there's no real excitement. They said it's kind of like the citizens of Hollywood in space uniforms. So that they're bad actors, it's just that, you're just like, what the hell is this? They said, again, like we mentioned, the rooms were comparable to cruise ships, but they're very claustrophobic, which is the exact word I used to describe it. They said the highlight was going to Galaxy's Edge. Well, that's sad. Not the big epic battle that's supposedly on the ship. Going to Galaxy's Edge was the highlight.
I mean, that's what blows my mind too. Like, so much of this experience is going to Galaxy's Edge, which you can do for your $100 and whatever to just get in the gate. You know what I'm saying?
Well, they said that the attractions in detail Galaxy's Edge, but 2 surpassed the hotel.
Yeah, this was supposed to be... This is what's so infuriating about this. And so, like, why did you do this? Because this was supposed to be all the really, really good stuff that was promised for everybody in Galaxy's Edge. All the aliens and the droids and the immersion and the lightsabers and the storyline and the live your own adventure, all that shit that was supposed to be in Galaxy's Edge. They moved over to this hotel. And then we find out that this hotel doesn't have even a tenth of what was originally planned.
They compare it to building a Lord of the Rings resort, and you get 2 characters from The Hobbit.
Pretty much, yeah.
And they're just like talking about it's basically a fancy Dave and Buster's. And like I said, the one immersion woman, you heard her.
Yeah, Dave and...
Well, no, but the woman said about games. She said it was like a video. It was like the video game or whatever she said.
The Falcon ride? It's cool to go on the Falcon. I don't know if I would do it again if I had to wait for it, because it's like, okay, it's cool. I'm in the Falcon. This is awesome. I get to sit down in the cockpit and all that. But then I'm like, it's just a damn video game.
It is.
And it's hard to understand. It's like, what the
hell? It is
cool
walking through the Falcon, though. I'm not going to lie. As a lifelong Star Wars fan, I still like that.
Part of me is like, we should have just gone Swiss Family Robinson Treehouse and just been like, hey, walk through the Falcon. Maybe Han Solo and Chewie will show up.
Yeah, they should have. But then you needed attraction to make it worth the cost. I mean, what the best part I like about Rise of the Resistance is the walkers. When you come in there and you see the walkers, I'm a lifelong fan of at walkers. And when I came in, you see those walkers in full glory. That is, to me, is like worth the waiting in line for. The rest of the ride, I'm just like, eh. Oh, the guns are cool too. The guns. I like the guns.
If that is the best that Galaxy's Edge has to offer, Rise of the Resistance, which, sounds, I could be wrong, but it sounds like so far that is it. I'm like, but that's not behind a $6,000 upcharge.
Hey, well, that's what everybody keeps saying. Anybody can go do this stuff.
Right.
And it's like you're paying $6,000, which brings us to our next point. What do you get for this expense? Now, apparently this Twitter user, I don't know, or you said she's a YouTuber?
She's a YouTuber. Now, her channel doesn't look like it's active, really. Jenny Nicholson, who I guess she used to cover a lot of Disney stuff and a lot of Star Wars. I don't know if she's gone to TikTok or what the deal is, but she does not seem to be very happy with
Right, but she brings up some very valid and fair questions, and she just tried to get some answers, and she wasn't getting any answers. Now, Drunk 3PO was the one who you got this from on Twitter, right?
Yeah.
I want to make sure I credit where credit is due, because I don't like it when people don't credit me, which happens quite often, apparently. Anyway, so this person was talking about how they're going to be going, and they wanted to make some calls and find out some answers, because we have the rumor about not being able to, film. We've heard that from several people, things like that. So apparently she called up to the customer service and asked some questions. I'll let you talk, Walt, because I keep doing all the talking.
Was it a droid? Did she get a droid?
No, but she had a nice cast member. And I will tell you, the cast members, when you call the phones, are always I'm sure not always, but most of the time, anytime we've called, have been so nice and very, very helpful. And she's not saying that they weren't helpful. It's just, I don't think they're allowed to say anything, or they don't know.
Disney World, what do you want?
Yeah, it's like, I'm always watching.
All right, so Jenny Nicholson, I just got through on the phone to Starcruiser and genuinely could cry at the answers I got. They don't have the answers yet to any of my questions. I don't even have any answer as to whether or not I can film on board.
Yeah, because there was a rumor you couldn't.
That happened to me at Universal. Went to Horror Nights, and I was all ready to go. I was going to film.
You were there for media.
Yeah, I was going to film the Stranger Things house, and they were like, you can't do that. I'm like, that's
ruin the surprise.
Literally the only reason I'm here is to film this house.
But just to get some shots. You can only take things that you could take if you were walking around.
Yeah,
so there was like no point to be there.
There was no point. I mean, it was fun, but it was
just
3 hours
for media reasons.
Yeah.
It really wasn't. I mean, unless you go behind the scenes tours.
Right. The answer to whether the upcharged experiences are a necessary part of the experience is maybe. Okay. They aren't allowed to say. Whether or not I book them ahead of time might impact whether or not I'm allowed to be set onto one of those storyline paths, but might not be.
Okay, so we don't have an answer to if you can film, which is a pretty basic question.
That's a very basic question.
Now they're basically saying, do I need to have do I need to pay for the upcharged experiences to get to have a better story? Probably yes.
So, okay. So let me get this straight. So you get into Galaxy's Edge, right? And then if you want the good stuff, you got to do the hotel, which is a $5,000 to $6,000 upcharge. But to get the gooder stuff,
and the drinks and things.
And then you've got an upcharge on top. So you can walk out of this thing spending 10, 12
Oh yeah,
grand.
the costumes.
Holy shit.
All that shit you have to buy too. Now,
You have to buy too and bat too.
Well, I was going to say, there are some guidelines. I don't think you have to buy the costumes that are there. You can bring your own in. I'm kind of excited to see what people do for costumes.
Star Trek.
Yeah, someone should. That'd be funny. I put another article up. I don't have it up here, but it's on piratesandprincesses.net, where there is the guidelines. I have the guidelines listed of what costume things you're allowed to do. And they have different set of rules for both the Starcruiser and Batuu. So you can go look at that. It tells you what kind of costumes you're allowed to use. So I think you're allowed to bring your own, but you have to stay within the guidelines.
Kind of like the Halloween parties.
Kind of, yeah.
Can I go as Slave Leia? I'm sorry.
Oh my God. No one's allowed to go as Slave Leia. Slave Leia, I can tell you now.
Hut Slayer Leia.
No one's allowed to go like
Leia.
that because that's everybody else on Twitter. Because I can tell you're not allowed to wear that. Just anyway.
So choices I make before I arrive might actually bar me from some of the activities or experiences.
But they aren't telling you how to decide that.
Yeah, right. They aren't allowed to say for sure. or for which ones. If I miss things, I can always book again and come back.
Yes, right? So it's set up
Okay.
so you have to keep coming back.
I'll just, yeah, I'll go through twice. I'll ride this thing twice for $12,000,
Right.
maybe $20,000, depends.
Yeah, I can go buy a car or ride this thing 3 times,
Yeah, right. I'm not trying to shade the cast member on the phone, who as always was extremely enthusiastic and professional.
Yeah, they always
have
are.
to be.
They're very nice.
They're just doing their job. I'm sure he told me as much as he knows or is allowed to say. I'm just so frustrated by Disney's refusal to give any consistent information, even this close to the trip.
They're probably one of the ones going initial week. Yeah, here's the thing. That the questions she's asking are very fair questions. Oh, and she added this too.
Yeah, there's a rumor that you can't film on board. Tell it to Click Orlando.
No, the trusted media can.
The trusted media can. And yeah.
As long as it's what they tell you can film.
From the angle they tell you
Which
to.
is probably what the problem with that video was.
Yes. I would think that. I kind of assumed the no filming thing was a rumor started by the preview test voyages, who of course are usually told not to take photos or videos.
That's what we wondered.
Yeah, so I was expecting to get an easy yes when I asked her over the phone and was super alarmed not to. Well, again, technically at Halloween Horror Nights, you're not supposed to film the houses. People do. Anyway,
people are going to find ways to film it and post it, I mean, let's say if you sign a paper saying you agree not to film anything, people are going to hide cameras in their hats or whatever.
When I did media events with Disney, they actually would have you sign paperwork.
Right, I'm just saying, but the guests might come into the ship and be like, well, it's in the fine print. It's in the fine print that when you bought your tickets, that you agreed not to film here, so you can't post any videos. Because we got to keep it a secret. But somebody will get it out there, and we'll try to get pictures of that if they do. But yeah, these are very fair questions. And basically, it sounds like, depending on what you do and how much more you pay, depends on how good your story is, which they have said before. Actually, I remember in the stuff coming out before this, that those prices of $4,800 to $6,000 were starting prices for basic cabins. You could pay more to stay in the big deluxe cabins. You could pay more to eat at the captain's table and get a different story that way. Not eat the captain. I knew your face. That's a completely different story.
I was like, how much do you have to pay? How much do you have to pay?
There's like all these different things that you could do. I know that impact. That if you pay more, it impacts. And of course, the influencers will get the premium experiences.
That is always what happens. Like, and again, we said in the other video, if you didn't watch that video, having done the Disney media circuit, they will give you the most photogenic food you have ever seen. They will, the performance that you see, if it's a preview performance, will be the best performance ever. Mm-hmm. I mean, it will be virtually flawless. Well, they hope, barring unforeseen circumstances.
Oh, they probably started again just to make sure you got the right video.
Yeah, because they want to make sure that you are presenting it in the best possible light. And that's just the way they roll. Of course they do. It's kind of the same with, when they do food pictures. And I remember, years ago, there was a special, it was on HBO, and they were talking about when they do food photographs and stuff, like the milk you see on the cereal is actually glue, because real milk doesn't look as photogenic. And there's a lot of things they do. And they do that with the food too. This milkshake is going to be the best effing milkshake you've ever seen.
Mm-hmm. But then they put like fans on it to make sure it stays looking pretty. They don't make it out of glue. But, it's just, it is what it is. But like when you can't even get answers to basic questions, and these are very fair questions, it's a little concerning to people, and we're getting these videos that aren't really showing anything. We're getting, even people that were like, I know are traditionally places where people are like, they love everything Disney does. And if you say like, magic. And if you say you don't like something, there's a lot of people jump all over you and things like that. They're even like, a lot of people, if you go to that board, are like, wait, this doesn't look, no. $6,000 for this.
Well, I mean, it's so funny because there were defenders, yesterday, day before on Twitter that were Star Wars, Disney Star Wars fans. And you're allowed to be a Disney Star Wars fan.
Yeah, and you're allowed to like it. By all means, if you want to spend the money and you like it, then good for you. Go for it.
They were out there telling people that if they dunked on this hotel, that they were basically fandom menace.
Oh, and they were toxic.
They were toxic. They were trolls. And I put out several headlines from mainstream media outlets over the last couple months that were like, this Disney's out of their bleepity bleep minds to charge this much money for a LARPing experience, and it looks really underwhelming. So
I guess you're going to limit your audience too, and who's going to feel comfortable in an experience like that?
Yeah, I mean, it's ridiculous. I mean, they literally, like, you understand, right? Whether or not you like The Last Jedi, that Canto Bight was political commentary.
Yeah, it was a political, yeah.
You understand that they were dunking on the wealthy who were just
doing this exact thing.
Burning money when there were bigger issues going on in the world. Literally, that is what is happening right now. We've got people blowing $6,000 on this hotel when the world is seemingly falling apart. I mean,
and the inflation and everything else, and then there's like, I mean, they are literally it's just so funny to me because like you said, that was the political statement, and they're literally leveraging that for money at Disney. They're literally becoming what they claimed in the movie that was the bad guy. Yeah,
just throw some slot machines in there, retheme it as Canto Bite Call Today, because that's what this thing is. You know.
Anyway. Are we going to wrap this up? This is where we're at so far. Of course, tomorrow is the embargo lifting time, so we're going to see a whole lot of stuff tomorrow. Stay tuned to piratesandprincesses.net. Stay tuned here because I'm sure we'll be covering things. Anything else?
No, that's it. All right. See you later.
Bye.